Saikikku Fōsu 2012 is a 1998 arcade fighting game developed by Taito Corporation as the sequel to their 1995 title, Saikikku Fōsu. The game was first released in arcades in 1998 and was then ported a year later to the Sega Dreamcast, becoming one of the console's earliest titles when it was released in Japan on March 4, 1999. A North American version was released on October 31, 1999, through the now-defunct distributor Acclaim. The game was also adapted for the PlayStation and released under the title of Saikikku Fōsu 2 in Japan on October 7, 1999 and the PAL regions in 2001. This version featured downgraded graphics, but had included several extra modes, an animated FMV intro, and 3 returning characters from the original Saikikku Fōsu who had been omitted in Saikikku Fōsu 2012. In 2006, Saikikku Fōsu 2012 was re-released as part of an anniversary pack for the PlayStation 2 titled Saikikku Fōsu Complete, which had included the original Saikikku Fōsu and a special exclusive remixed version of 2012 titled Saikikku Fōsu 2012 X. Location test for the Taito Corporation's live version occurred between the 2nd of November 2012 and the 6th of November 2012. Gameplay. The fighting system of Saikikku Fōsu 2012 remains the same as its predecessor, but the control has been redefined and the balance has been adjusted, while the playing mechanics of the previous game has been fleshed out and new ones have been introduced as well. On the side of the screen are 2 bars. Each bar is separated into 2 gauges, the life gauge and the psycho gauge. To execute most moves, you will deplete your psycho gauge. As your life gauge decreases, the space for your psycho gauge increases. Hence, your psycho gauge can go beyond 100% above. There's a power indicator. This indicator shows a number that represents the strength of the character. There are 4 walls of the cube that the characters can contact with. Note that finishing off the opponent with a special move during the last round will cause the opponent to be smashed out of the arena. It only applies to the left and right sides. A light attack will execute small projectiles from far away. These projectiles will not deplete your psycho gauge and are weak. A strong attack will fire a bigger projectile, and depletes your psycho gauge by 30%. When both characters are close together, the light and strong attacks will execute punches and kicks. The light attack can be pressed multiple times for a combo, while the strong attack will deliver a powerful blow. As noted before, the strong attack will consume 30% of the psycho gauge. So when the psycho gauge is depleted, the character will fire small projectiles just like pressing the light attack from far away. Another thing to note is the 2 commands that are available for the first move of every character. As the strong attack will deliver a strong physical attack up close, the other will be used to fire a projectile. Returning tactics from the first Saikikku Fōsu includes the Psycho Charge, Barrier Guard, the Normal Dash, and the Quick Dash, while the new tactics introduced in Saikikku Fōsu 2012 includes the Retreat Barrier, which can interrupt attacks from the opponent, but it will not break combos as it just prevents the opponent from attacking you after being knocked away, while it consumes 50% of the psycho gauge. A Slide Dash, which allows the character to sidestep into the opponent's defense. A Hyper Charge, which increases the psycho gauge while depleting the life gauge, though it helps raise the attack power. Hence the purpose of the power indicator that appears at the top. A PSY Impulse, which is a form of counter-attacking in which the character can unleash a repelling force after being knocked into a wall by the opponent, while it consumes 25% of the psycho gauge. And a Barrier Break, in which a character can break through an opponent's barrier and cause damage. But the move can only be guarded by a normal guard, and that it consumes 50% of the psycho gauge. The arcade mode of Saikikku Fōsu 2012 has the specific playing character going through 8 stages of combat against random opponents from within sight. being timed on how fast they can complete the game, while the story mode has the specific playing character going through 8 stages of combat from within sight against a specific set of opponents, with the addition of cutscenes in order to advance the story of the specific playing character. Once the player reaches the 8th and final stage, they will battle against a specific final boss for their specific playing character, and once the specific final boss is defeated, an ending will be presented for the specific playing character. Story. Taking place 2 years after the events of Saikikku Fōsu, the sequel finds the world caught in the crossfire between 2 factions who vie for control over the Earth. Upon returning after his fateful past battle against his old friend Burn Griffiths, Keith Evans resurrects Noah as Neo-Noah and once again resumes his conquest of establishing a utopia for United Psychics. Richard Wong, who had broken away from Noah, establishes his own group of psychics known as the Army, and seeks to eliminate Neo-Noah in an attempt to conquer the world. As the 2 groups fight for control over the fate of the Earth, independent psychics who find themselves being drawn into the conflict seek to hunt down members of Neo-Noah and the Army in an attempt to find the truth and help locate their missing family and friends. Characters. New Saikikku Fōsu 2012 introduced 7 characters new to the series. A few have similarity in fighting styles with a few of the previous cast, returning original cast from Saikikku Fōsu with the exception of the Saikikku Fōsu 2 exclusive characters who are also members of the original cast. Saikikku Fōsu 2 exclusive 3 characters were added to the PlayStation port of Saikikku Fōsu 2012, known as Saikikku Fōsu 2. They are characters from the original Saikikku Fōsu who never made it to the arcade or the Dreamcast version, though they don't come with a story mode. Windows version. This version includes features from the Dreamcast port of the game, and Glide DirectX support. The re-release version includes only the DirectX version of the game, and added character gallery.